the 25 years, and nobody sitting at Goddard who's on the Hubble team has ever seen Hubble in real time conducting any operations on the ground that could have been shot from another satellite asset with a high definition camera and imaging to take a picture of Hubble.
Why would you expect anybody to do that?
Well, I'm going to explain to you why. Because I used to be in the military, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. You don't send out a drone or an ROV and not have cameras on it so that you can track where it's going and where it's at and what might come in contact with it to interfere with its operations. And just to be honest with you, if paying my taxes, $1.5 billion, I'd want to keep an eye on that asset. Not just from signal and telemetry data, but I also, in the in the 21st century, I need to have eyes on when I need to have eyes on, just in case something went wrong.
Well, if something goes wrong, it wouldn't be something external necessarily.
No, that's not. I wouldn't say that that's so, because I know of at least a few events where Hubble had to be retasked because it had to avoid collision with something else that was up there.
Well, you're misinformed then.
Well, I can't be misinformed if the data actually came from NASA.
Could you point me to where it says that Hubble was actually retasked because of some external, I'll call it a threat, or external, object?
No, I mean, it had to be flipped around. It had to be maneuvered to go to either go to a higher altitude or change its trajectory because there was something up there that might have collided with another satellite from another country.
Well, you are sadly misinformed then.
Okay.
Because Hubble doesn't even have a propulsion system, so it can't possibly change its orbit by itself.
So how does it move position?
I suggest that you build up a little bit more on.
No, I mean, I have the data right up in front of me. I mean, it's right on your website. It's right here, spacecraft and instruments. I'm looking. It's right on the left-hand side. It says what the Hubble's capabilities are, how it maneuvers, how it changes direction.
That's just rotating the vehicle. That is not changing altitude. That is not changing trajectory. That is not changing orbit.
Okay.
That is just changing its orientation.
So you're saying that Hubble actually stays at the same altitude through every orbit, and it doesn't decay in altitude. It doesn't lose altitude.
It loses altitude because of atmospheric drag.
Okay, so when it loses altitude, so over 20 years at 330 miles, we do the mathematics, ISS loses somewhere between 1.5 to 2 miles every 3 to 5 minutes. So what is keeping over 20 years? Hubble should actually almost be within 10 miles of ISS.
Well,
sir, I've done the math. I don't know about you, sir, but I've done the math. At 340 miles, that's what's on your website, 15 orbits a day, Hubble should actually be nearly within 10 miles of ISS if ISS is actually at somewhere around 220, 245 miles. That's the stated standard data. I've actually seen data on NASA's website. It's clear as day. I can send you the information where actually ISS has gone from 245 miles to 190 miles above the surface of the Earth. And then it jumped. And then they fired whatever thrusters or whatever to put it back up into its normal geosync orbit at low Earth altitude elliptical orbit. So if you're saying, I'm not disagreeing. Yes, Hubble is losing altitude. But if that's the case and there's nothing to propel it back up to its original operating altitude of 340 miles, over a 20-year period, Hubble should be, this year, within 10 to 20 miles of the ISS.
Well,
Visual line of sight.
obviously,
No optical
are you familiar
assessment or
with orbital
adjustment.
mechanics?
I'm sorry?
Are you familiar with orbital mechanics?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you familiar with atmospheric drag?
Yes, sir, I am. I know that
Are you
Hubble,
familiar
I know the
with the solar
ISS.
cycle?
I'm sorry, sir?
Are you familiar with the solar cycle
Yes, sir, I am.
and its effect on the atmosphere?
Yes, sir, I am. I've been doing nothing but studying that for 3 years.
Okay, so obviously, during solar minimums, the atmosphere contracts, and there's very, very little drag at Hubble's altitude. So your 2 miles per year is a very gross oversimplification.
No, I didn't say 2 miles per year. ISS is 100 yards long, 50 yards wide, give or take. Okay? It's 3 to 5 times the size of Hubble. Okay? So you have a larger mass, traveling at somewhat maybe, a comparable speed. It's at lower altitude, so yes, you're going to have more drag. Hubble's at supposed to be 100 miles above that. So yes, you're going to have less atmosphere, but a little bit more, you're still going to have the atmospheric drag because neither vehicle is in free space, a vacuum.
Right.
Neither vehicle.
And also, the Hubble orbit was raised during the servicing on 2 of the servicing missions.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I agree with you on that because I looked at the servicing missions, and it seems as though each servicing mission, Hubble dropped down based on its 15 orbits a day. If it's behaving the same way the ISS is, losing about a mile and a half to 2 miles every 5 minutes in an elliptical fashion, if Hubble's doing the same thing, that means that the STS servicing missions were able to get within a specific distance of it at a specific time to capture it, and then once they service it, they basically jettison it back up to where it should have been, which is around 330, 340 miles. But then after 2008, the last servicing mission, we're looking at 8 years. So again, you factor in from 2008 to now, within this year, Hubble's going to be within 10 to 20 miles of ISS. That's the mathematics that you and I've learned. Give or take. I don't have a supercomputer, so I can't do the exact numbers, but the rough calculations tell me that Hubble could be within visual eyesight view without a telescope, without binoculars. You'd be able to have literally line of sight.
Well, I do not know what the ISS current altitude is.
Right now, the ISS is at, according to this data, it says the ISS is at 251.77 miles, 76. It's dropping right now. And its velocity is 17,166 miles. Longitude 153.883, actually 154. Latitude is 39.517. That's where ISS is right now. Of course, they don't have there's no similar database online to do the same thing for Hubble. And that's understandable. But
but there is.
Is there a website for same as ISS?
Well, I don't know what you're using for ISS.
Well, I'm using ISS Tracker.
Well, there's plenty of satellite tracking apps that have a large database.
I have about 20 of them in my repertoire that I can check.
Well, there's certainly similar ones for Hubble, and you can get Hubble's real-time position.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to waste a lot of your time, Mike. It concerned me. I'm going to be honest with you. It really concerned me that HST was not in an international database, but the servicing missions are. Trying to get an understanding. And Hubble is continuing to baffle me. Right now, they're showing the Hubble at the latitude is 20. What's the elevation? The altitude is 542 kilometers.
Yeah, okay, sounds about right.
So, but it's a software database, and I can tell you here right now, as a CUDA and GPU programmer and developer, I could create the same thing in a week to mirror this, and it wouldn't need to be real. It'd literally show a picture of me in a little Superman cape, saying, "Hey, this is where I am. I got my hands up. I've got a little tether on the Hubble, and I'm following it. And look at me, And people would. But here's the thing: if I showed you that and put it together in a week, you'd be like, "Oh, that's not real," But I want you to understand, as an up and coming research scientist, the average person, they look at this and they're like, "Oh, well, there goes the Hubble at 542 kilometers." But you show them something they don't know. They don't have even a basic or foundation understanding of how software development, programming, and computer graphic generated images, and how you can actually program something to be in the sky that's really not there.
All right. Yeah.
So
Hollywood does it all the time.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually taken advantage of you guys' software vault, where I can go online and download a lot of the software applications that's available for the technology transfer program. So, it's just one of those things to where I would like to know if it's possible, if anyone I could speak to who's responsible for submitting the information to FAI, to see if maybe there was just an oversight or if it's a mistake, and I hate to say this, that maybe you've been sitting there for 25 years and there's what you think is up there is really not there, and it's actually the photos are being taken by Sophia, which is at 45,000 feet on a 747.
Sophia hasn't been flying nearly as long.
Well, the program, the Stratospheric Observatory program, has been in existence longer than Hubble.
But they haven't had anything flying for that long. I forget when Sophia's first.
No. Yeah, Sophia is not that old. It's been in existence, I think, since 2002 or something, or 2000. What was it? 2004. I think 2002 or 2004. But there were airborne telescope observatories being flown longer than Hubble. You got your own website shows the actual history of the Stratospheric Observatory program, and it actually began with balloons, because there's a satellite identical to Hubble, about 2/3 the size, that was launched from Antarctica on a balloon. There's a photo of that on the U.S. Antarctic website. They launch it from McMurdo.
Well, fine, but the Hubble's taking data at wavelengths that neither Sophia nor the balloons can.
No. Sophia can take.
So.
Sophia can take photos in wavelength. Sophia can do the same thing as Hubble. Yeah. Sophia can do the. Matter of fact, the telescope on Sophia is identical to Hubble. Everything that Hubble can do, Sophia can do.
No,
I mean, of course, the plane's got to land, but when it's in the air, it can literally conduct the same technical imagery capture and analysis data that Hubble can do. And of course, Hubble's 24/7. Sophia's not. But when it's in the air, when Sophia's been in the air, it literally has captured the same photos as Hubble, and that's how I was able to do the comparison. As a matter of fact, some of the pictures that Sophia captured were actually at a higher resolution and more clear than Hubble, which also, surprised me a little bit. How could something inside the stratosphere take a photo and do imagery through 3 or 4 different more layers of atmosphere when Hubble is literally supposed to be out in the exosphere where there's very little to no atmosphere, and it's capturing more light than Sophia is. I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong about Hubble, because I wouldn't want to be sitting next to you one day and you'd be really, really, really angry to find out that Hubble may not be there.
Well, it'd be quite a.
I know it would be shocking, but it would be shocking, but it just. I've already contacted FAI and I spoke to them, and they said it's not in their database, and they checked. It took them about a week to get back to me, and they looked through the entire database. They said they even looked to see if maybe it would have been erased or deleted by mistake, you know, because they were able to check their log records, and there was never even anything submitted. There was nothing. I mean, why put the servicing missions in the record? I mean, you can go to FAI.org when we hang up. Just check the servicing missions for yourself. You'll see them there. But when you check for Hubble, STS-31, you enter in Charlie Bolden's name, all the crew members, nothing. Nothing. And FAI has been in existence longer than NASA. I think, I'm not going to say that I'd be applying for any kind of Nobel Science Prize, but I think I might have a more viable theory of how it may all be working.
Interesting. I'll be watching for it.
Because dark fluid.
I gotta go.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate it, Mike. I really appreciate it very much. I didn't think I'd be able to talk to anyone at all because I tried to call the project manager. When you click on pound to go to his number, and I click to the deputy project manager, Mr. Haskins, and the deputy project manager, Pat Krause, when I go to click on for their extensions, it just hangs up. Are they even working there anymore?
Yeah, they're still here. So what